masterpiece makers, let's create. And today we get to do a fun sailboat with patterned sails on a lake or in an ocean and really have some fun with color and pattern today. So before we get started, let's take a look at the project. We have the main emphasis will be the sailboat, and I put that right in the center of the page. To add interest, there are so many patterns and colors on the sail. We have water at the bottom, water in the middle, and then the sky above. So we have a lot of different things going on here. I want you to notice that I'm using oil pastels to outline everything that I've sketched, and then I fill in the big spaces with watercolor. And that is some of my favorite way of drawing and painting because I get to use a lot of different materials and it's always so bright and vivid. Look how bright this is. All right, something you need to notice is that we have 3 parts to this picture, 3 sections. So the waves make our foreground, and on our foreground, on those waves, is the boat. So the boat is also considered part of the foreground, even though it fills the whole page. The midground, or the middle of the picture, those are our smaller, more diffused waves, and they fill up the middle part of the page. We have an opportunity to do wet on wet watercolor, so we can see what happens to the watercolor as it diffuses across the water on the paper. So that's a fun section to do. And then our background, that's where the land, maybe the shoreline or an island, and the sky, sunset sky, is behind the boat, behind the middle ground. So that is the background. I want you to notice also on the sail, I am repeating colors and repeating patterns. You'll notice I do that throughout all of my art. I try to use the same color in more than one space. All of the classical painters did the same thing. As you look at history, repeating colors throughout the picture keeps your eye interested and keeps some sort of uniformity, even though you've got so much variety. All right, enough talk. Let's get out our pencil and our paper and get started. So I'm going to use the bottom portion of my paper for the waves. I'm envisioning my boat to be a triangle right in the center, so I'm going to put a guide dot for the top of the mast. And then I'm imagining that the boat is about this wide. Okay, this curved line goes to the waves, this curved line goes to the waves, and a straight line down to hold up my sails. A second straight line that's parallel. It's got to be pretty strong. I'm going to put a line across and a curved line to connect. And a curved line here to show the wind is pushing against that sail. I'm going to make a second sail. I'm going to make a curved line going around down to almost the bottom and a curved line going out here past the boat, and I'm going to connect. Simple boat. Now I want to make an island back here with some pine trees, triangles, right? And if you need help, we've got a pine tree video. I'm going to continue that line across. I'm not going to draw until I get to an open space. Pick up my pencil, open space, line across. I want to have a beautiful sunset going. So I'm going to imagine the sun is right here. And my sky is going to be a beautiful orange. My water is going to be a beautiful blue, and my boat is going to be filled, the sails are going to be filled with so many patterns, it's going to be beautiful. I want to bring the mast up here and maybe put a little flag. And the wind is blowing that flag straight out. So I have more places to paint. All right, before I start painting though, I do want to outline these spaces so that they stay, the paint will stay inside where I want it to stay. I'm going to start with my sun because that's the lightest color I'm using. And I'm going to fill it in with a circular motion. You see that? All right, I'm going to take my second color because of the rule of 2 and blend those in so there's no white spaces left. Nice and smooth and creamy. I'm going to draw a line around the sun with that lighter color. When we were little, we used sun rays, and you could do the sun rays if you wanted instead. I am going to use this dark green to represent this island and to represent the pine trees. They're pretty far away, so it's going to be kind of hard to do a rule of 2 or 3, but I'm going to try my best and fill that in. Then I'm going to grab a second color for my trees and fill that in. It's hard to see, but it works for me. And then I'm going to add a little bit of texture to the sky, to the island. Okay. Now, what about the waves and the lake? I'm going to use this blue here and just outline, trace over this foreground area. Foreground means in the front, right? Now my boat. I'm going to make the base of my boat this peach, which could represent a white boat. I'm going to fill in some lines just to add some texture. And of course, rule of 2 or 3, I'm going to add a second lighter. This is a creamier color, and I'm going to go over it again. Try not to blend in the waves. I'm going to use a gray to outline it. And I'm going to use the gray around all of the outside of this. So the mast ends up being gray because the thickness of my oil pastel. Okay, the outline of the sail. I'm pressing kind of hard because I want this to block the water that I paint in the background. All right, because there's a rule of 2 or 3, I'm going to add a few more waves in a different color. Okay. All right, now I can think about adding patterns to my sail either using oil pastel or using watercolor. It's up to you. You can decide what you want to do. Now here's the difference. If you use oil pastel, then you'll be able to draw right away and fill up your space right away. If you use watercolor, you will have to paint and pause and paint and pause. So today, because I want to show you what I'm doing, I am going to use oil pastel as the patterns on my sail. So I'm picking some of the brightest colors that are in my box, including some colors that I got extra special. They're fluorescent. And they're kind of dirty, but it's okay. I'm still going to use them. And so I am going to do some alternating stripes with my fluorescent at just the top. And then I'm going to use another color that's fluorescent. Ooh, it's a pink. And I went right over that orange. I didn't mean to. It's really chunky, but I still have my rule of 2. Now I'm going to grab my purple and make some polka dots. See if I can squeeze the polka dots right in between there. And then I want to take that purple and repeat, but fill in some spaces here because I want this to be the fun sail on the sea. I think I might fill in that center space with purple too. I am just going along and choosing colors as I go. If you want to plan, you could take a scrap piece of paper and draw out all of your patterns and decide which one works best for you for your painting. I'm going to take these same colors and do different designs on the other side. I want to repeat the colors, but I want to have some variety as well. I filled that in pretty much with as much as I can. I'm going to take that lemony yellow and go around the sun again with this lemony yellow, repeating the color in a couple of different places. I'm also going to take the lemony yellow and add a little bit to the island, blending over the color that I already had. All right, so now I could pause and paint. Is there anything left to do? I do have this horizon line. If I take some color, then as I'm painting the sky, it won't bleed into the lake. And I wanted the sky to be orange because it's sunset, and I want the lake to be blue because it's water. I'm adding more color on this side. I'm going to just go ahead and fill it in with the same color, making sure my line is nice and heavy because it's going to act as that block. And then I can start painting and not have to wait. There's one other thing that I didn't trace over. Do you see this flag up here? I'm going to trace over that flag. All right. Grabbing my paintbrush, I'm going to start with, actually I'm going to start low and then work my way up. Okay, see that one drop of water already, it's already ready to go. Grabbing my blue, and I'm just going to paint right over my oil pastels. And I'm actually painting the shape of the waves, because some of these brush strokes will still show up. You notice I'm not reloading my brush, I'm just pushing the pigment that's already there. Now on this center section, I'm going to actually fill it with water first. I didn't wash my brush too much. Just filling it with water first, and then I'm going to drop some pigment in so that I can use it diffused. Remember what diffused means. It kind of spreads it out. So I'm going to finish filling this in quickly with water. It doesn't have to be completely clear because I'm going to be using a blue and a purple over it. Actually, I think I'll just use blue on this and purple on the sails. So this is the bluish purple, right? Yeah, so that's not the one. It's the one right next door. Let me double check though, right? Because I don't want to put the wrong color on there. Grabbing a piece of scratch paper. Yep. All right. So then I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to lay in some lines. And do you see how it's diffusing across? And the water's just picking it up and taking it where it's going to go. And I'm using lines that will represent the waves, but they're not as intense as the waves close up, because as you get further, details begin to fade. Okay, and you can kind of see where I didn't add water. It's much darker. All right, I'm going to leave that and let that be for right now. I'm going to work up top with my sunset. Oh my, I need to really rinse my brush though. So my sunset is going to be this orange, and I'm going to start on this side because the sun's here. So I'm going to start on the side away from the sun and start with the darkest of orange. I'm going to pull some more water and fill this in. My brush wasn't completely clean, so it's a darker. And then I'm going to rinse my brush off and add a lot more yellow. Just try to fill in the space and make it as smooth as possible. Now I'm going to rinse really well. And I'm going to add some yellow. I'm going to go right over the orange that I already put down, right over the sun. Add some more water. I'm not going to pick up any more pigment. I'm just going to continue to add water until I get to the other side of the paper. So it's lighter on this side because it's closer to the sun on the paper. All right. So I have this space in here. This is between the sails. So I'm going to fill that in. All right. It's already looking so happy and so patterned and beautiful. but I still have to pause for just a minute, just in case there's some wet, so it doesn't blend and change the color that I want for my sails. So a sailboat works because the wind pushes the sail. It propels the boat forward. The curve of the sail is what creates the lift. The angle of the sail to the wind, that's called the angle of attack, and it's really important. If the sail is too close to the wind, it will stall. What does stall mean? Yeah, kind of slow down and stop moving forward. If the sail is too far from the wind, it will flap. What would that do? Right, it slows it down. The sailboat's keel is where the boat is underwater, in the underwater fin, and that helps to keep it upright and prevent it from tipping over. There's so much more to learn about sailboats, and I'll include some extra resources on our resource page. Let's keep drawing and painting. It's time to paint my sails, and I have to decide what color I want to use. Originally, I was thinking I wanted to use some purple, so I think I will do some of it purple, but then I think green might be fun too. So I am going to pull up a little bit of my purple, and it's this color purple, and I'm going to double check it on my sample paper. Yep, it's a nice dark purple. And I'm going to make the top flag purple. And some of this space down here, in between here, and down over these bright pink polka dots. Up there I think I'm going to make green, and over here I think I'm going to make green. And I chose green because the blues of the lake and the purple of the sail, just if I add another purple, it's not going to show up as much as I wanted. And I'm repeating the green from the island. So I've picked up some green. Let me double check this color. Yeah, that's what I want. So it's going to be a nice contrast to what's already on there. And you notice I went right over the highlight, so it starts to fade just a little bit. It's not as bright. If I want to keep it bright, don't paint over it. Okay? Try to stay within the lines. I'm going to go over here. I'm just getting a little bit of water on my brush. I'm going to keep the same color. I'm just going to lighten it just a little bit with water. Notice how it's translucent. And I'm just filling in a few of those spaces that were still white so that I have a happy sailboat. All right, I'm going to call it done. I am very happy with it. It makes me happy. It's bright and colorful. I can't wait to see yours. Be sure to send it to gallery@truehuesart.com. You can share it on Facebook or Instagram or any one of those social media platforms. Simply put the hashtag TrueHuesArt and Pretty Sailboat, and I will be able to see it. Thanks. See you next time.